Hello, happy Monday. We're back here live. Monday Market 15, the 15-minute show that takes egregiously more than 30 minutes. So hang on to your hats and enjoy the ride. Maybe take a back seat. Here with me always is the one and only, the I say it all the time, the bright, the beautiful. But I want to change that, but that'll be next week. Miss Perkins herself.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us back. We missed last week. It was Halloweeny.
Yeah.
Hey, so I got a joke for you.
Oh, God.
Why can't ghosts have babies?
Why can't ghosts have babies? I don't know.
Because they have Halloweenies.
Anyway, we're back here on a Monday.
I hope you guys had an awesome past 2 weeks.
Thank God it's not Halloween anymore. But we're back here on a Monday talking about the Phoenix housing market. Any updates? If you have any comments, questions, please drop those in the comments section. We'll take care of them as we go along. Answer your whatever needs that you have right now. But it is a little crazy out there. And the lead story that we have, is we're leading off with consumer confidence in housing has dropped.
Confidence in itself is hard, whether it's in your personal life, your professional life, your parenting life, in your financial life, and then making major decisions in your life, like your forever home.
Yeah, so in October, 16% of consumers said that they thought it was a good time to buy. So that means 84% of people said no way to buying a house right now. Why do you think that is, Miss Perkins?
Because they're not rolling deep.
You got to roll in the deep, yeah.
You got to roll in the deep.
And so basically, we're just in a really mucky place, I think, right now. It's probably the best way to describe it.
It is challenging. It almost kind of feels like quicksand sometimes, where you step into it and then you're just slowly drowning. But with that being said, there are many opportunities. I did send a meme to Robert earlier, and it said 7% at $30K is better, or is it better than 2.99% at $100K? Think about it.
Yeah, so you're basically paying front end versus back end. But
you're still going to pay.
Yeah. I guess it goes back to your situation, right? Your personal situation. Do you have money up front to pay down basically what you would give a bank to a person versus taking away from a person and giving it to a bank long run on the back end? Because you're basically it's like a bleeding with many small cuts over time versus just the big at the front end.
And that's why this shows a little bit about rolling in the deep and kind of revisiting, honestly, all the things we talked about throughout the year. So interest rates from 1982, 92, 2008, and where we are today, observing where we are with certain investments that we're making. Yeah. So let's kind of roll into the deep and start pulling up some stuff that we have discussed throughout this time. I'm ready.
Oh, you ready?
Are you ready?
I don't even remember why we called it the show. It's just really, like I said, it's really mucky right now. So interest rates, I think we'll start off with there.
Yeah, let's do it.
Interest rates are horrible, and they're going to continue to rise. So there is an anticipation that in December, the Fed is going to come out with the federal funds rate of an increase of anywhere from 25 basis points to 50 basis points. So that is a tremendous increase. And if you follow the 2-year Treasury, which is what I've just highlighted there, you'll kind of see a pattern here where you'll see over time the orange line is the federal funds rate, and then you have the 2-year Treasury. Do you see a pattern there, Miss?
No.
So basically the federal funds rate follows a 2-year Treasury, and over time it's still got some time to catch up. So if people are having the discussion that the Fed's not going to increase rates anymore or rates are going to come down anytime soon, it's not going to happen anytime soon. Based off what I'm observing and what I'm seeing in this market.
It's going to be a slow trajectory. For sure. I mean, and this is what we're kind of the portion of our conversation today is about educating yourself.
Yeah.
So once we educate ourselves, when
You can just call us.
we see about things like that, they're like, wah,
Or you can drop us a
wah.
line here at Monday Market 15.
Well, we also need to inspire ourselves.
Yeah.
So with education comes understanding our history of the market and what we're looking at. And history really tells a story. And it's a very clear story. There's a 7 to 10 year trajectory of our future with rates. This is not, anybody could have predicted this, correct?
Yeah, I mean, you see the chart there. You can very much easily predict that rates aren't coming down anytime soon.
They're not.
You know, until the 2-year Treasury and the federal funds rate invert, we're not seeing rates come down anytime soon. Inflation is just still too high. The last time I checked was like 8%. And so there's just no place to hide your money or put in money, which is putting a challenge against investors right now. And you talked about investing.
I did. So investors are still investing. They're still going to invest. There's still homes that are available from the past. They're still going to purchase them. Reinvent. I won't use the word reinvent. They're going to lipstick on a peg them and rent them to you. So people who are facing foreclosure, they're in a pickle. They may back out of that and they may go rent a property from a hedge fund or a private investor. Like investors are always going to invest. We're not going to lose that.
Yeah, and real estate,
they've never gotten out.
Real estate is one of those investment vehicles that is very stable. And right now it doesn't seem like it is, but over time it is very stable. I mean, if you look at the peaks that we had in 2008, 2009 and where we came from there and how much we've overcome those, I mean, a big swing, I would say. But investors are still, investing. They're still buying.
Well,
and cash is king right now.
It is. And credit is just a little bit that gives us power, but let's revert back to before credit was even available. I'm talking about way back in the 1800s.
The old gold standard?
Yes. Like when we used to
I'm
mine
going to buy my
gold
house for 2 bars of gold.
and trade for cows. Like we have to dig. So rolling into the deep, as our show is called.
Oh, boy.
We have to really understand the underlying concept of owning real estate and the value of it. So with the meme about 7% versus 30 and 2.9 versus 100, fine. Is that your cow versus your daughter? I don't know. But this has never changed. The market has never changed from the 1800s. It's how we are digging deep into it and educating ourselves and understanding what leverage we have to manipulate the situation.
It's a very interesting analogy. Cow versus daughter.
I mean, this is for real. If any of you guys are rednecks from like the hills, like you would understand this. Like that's just the way it is.
Where are you from, Morristown?
No. My family's actually from Cornville, originally West Virginia.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Cornville, Arizona.
Cornville explains a lot.
It does, but it is. And,
oh, shit.
We go back to a time and place when you and I, and we've brought this up many, many times, when 7.5 and 8% were like not bad.
Yeah, and when I bought my first house, granted, I bought my first house at $140,000. In Gilbert, so like on Chandler Heights and Higley is where I bought my first house, $130,000.
So we're echoing ourselves on that, like the interest rate versus that.
We're regressing back, so prices are just coming down. I mean, the economy that we're showing. I'll jump the slide real quick, but we're looking at unemployment. We pulled up unemployment numbers because unemployment is very important in our environment today. So it doesn't have the October, November numbers, but you can see based off the beginning of the year. I mean, we've just been increasing since May. Our unemployment's just been increasing. So where are people going?
Well, which is intriguing because you just showed me your phone and there's 155 people per day moving here.
Hold on, let me get right there.
Okay.
This is our net migration rate. So, so this is off of quarter 1. This isn't quarter 2. We're in quarter 3, I think. Or no, wait a minute. Quarter 4.
Quarter 4. We're already in 4.
We're already in quarter 4.
We did. We did it.
And so I'm curious to see what the net migration rate. So this is 14,000 over the first quarter of this year, which is still about 155 people. But you can see over time. I mean, over time we've still been gaining people in the Phoenix area. So, the unemployment number is a little confusing because I don't know where these people are going. One. Where they're working, but we still have a positive net migration. And if you look at like something like, if you pull up Seattle, look at this, for instance.
I still haven't been to the gum wall. It's on my.
Oh, it's on your to-do list.
My to-do list. I just want to see the gum wall. I know it's so gross, but
the Seattle area has a net migration of 23. People are just leaving Seattle.
Yeah.
You know.
So why the hell are people coming to Arizona?
I don't know.
You know why?
There's no water here.
And this is my opinion.
That's another. Oh,
yeah, it's a whole nother one.
I brought up
But we have a lot of land.
Yeah.
We have land. And people are buying land. And that's awesome. And I'm just going to skip backwards. Like I'm going to hop, skip, and back jump to unemployment. Unemployment was down, and now it's slowly rising again.
Pull that back up.
This is flabbergasting to me because, and I'm going to talk about myself for a hot minute. My 16-year-old son wrote his own resume.
Yeah.
Applied on Indeed for Sky Zone.
What's Sky Zone?
It's a jumpy place where he monitors kids who jump and flip and play dodgeball. You know, it's like a kid's trampoline place.
Yeah.
Got his first interview, got hired on his first interview, and works.
Yeah.
Per Arizona, because you can only work so many hours in Arizona. And he did it. So if my 16-year-old who's never worked wrote his own resume, and I swear in my life I did not help him with it. And, you know, typically I would, but I didn't. He did it on his own. He's like, Mom, I got a job at Sky Zone. I'm like,
yeah.
Hell yeah, I'm a good mom. But he did. So why is our unemployment rate rising?
Well, and I guess we need to break down the number, which we didn't do before the show, but, you know, looking at, you know, service-oriented jobs versus more professional, I guess, white-collar positions. You know, the jobs that actually pay where you could actually purchase a house from.
Right.
You know, the median household income, the last time I checked, was around $50,000.
So, yeah,
which
like
really
under,
puts you in a house under 200.
which is not available here in Arizona.
No, there's really nothing. If you go out there and start looking, there's really nothing under 400.
So we have 155 people per day moving here. Our unemployment rate and our average is $50,000, which will not give us the average home cost. So what are people doing?
I guess, I don't know, doubling up.
I know.
where they're
I
going.
have no idea. Like I'm trying to understand. This is what we call like rolling into the deep. What the heck is going on in Arizona?
I'm guessing they're doubling up or moving in with family or coming into a situation where there's somebody they're familiar with and moving in. If anybody has any insight on their particular situation, they want to drop a line and put a comment in there. We would like a little bit more insight. But I think generally speaking, people are just moving in with other people. I mean, there's just no other way around it because on the purchasing end, there's people not buying. Hold on. Let me go to the chart.
We got a chart.
Oh, my goodness. Let's go to the chart. So people aren't buying. Renting is a little out of hand. But what I'm seeing with renting is it's out of hand in more central locations. So the closer you are into, let's say, inner Mesa, inner Glendale, inner Peoria, those are the houses that are still going high because people want to be close to where they're working. Because a lot of companies are having them go back to work.
It's interesting you say that. So when Cameron, my oldest, and I were volunteering, he's part of the Junior Air Force.
I'll get back to that.
And we were volunteering at NASCAR, raising money for all of that. And we walked around, my feet hurt, up and down, you know, where all the RVs are. And we were chatting with people. And one of the gentlemen, he was a past 6-year military vet. And he worked on airplanes. And we had a great conversation. And he moved to Goodyear.
Yeah.
I was like, why'd you move to Goodyear?
Cheap.
And
Cheaper.
So he didn't know any better. He's not from here.
Oh. Yeah.
And he's like, well, it's a great community and it's simple. And he'd travel all around. So like this seemed like a good space for him to be in.
Yeah.
Where a lot of the people that are used to living in central Phoenix, like Goodyear seems like California to us. But he appreciated it. He's like, I retired from the military. They give me this, they gave me that. And Goodyear was a nice place for him to be in. Do we think, or do you think, that living on the outskirts is slowly becoming more popular?
Only because of price point. I think generally speaking, people want to be closer to where they work. A lot of community. I mean, unless you work in a warehouse like Amazon and they're out in the middle of nowhere. You know, because they have a warehouse out there. You work for the airport or something. That's just not Phoenix Sky Harbor, but you know, some of the military bases. If you work on those areas, it's fine. Yeah. I think there's still kind of a pseudo like half remote, half like going to work because obviously the traffic's still at hand, which I hate coming to the office in the morning. I try to time it out, but you know, people are going back to work in some capacity. You know, inexpensive. People are looking because I think there is a recession. That's just my opinion. and people are having a hard time pay for expenses, and they want to stay closer to minimize their expenses, and that's food and driving locations to work and stuff. So is Goodyear a good option? Because it's inexpensive, not as compared to like Central Phoenix, but prices keep coming down, and that's what I took that slide off of.
So so the 155 people, I feel like they're actually moving on the outskirts. So Tolleson, Goodyear, Apache Junction, they're moving on the outskirts, and a lot of them are working remote or for companies that are not based in Arizona. That's why we're really confused about how this is happening, in my opinion, because we're used to working in centralized the area.
Yeah, I mean, I try to house here in Inner Phoenix because it just gives me access to different areas at different times. But for the most people, I'm assuming they want to stay close to wherever they're employed, just to save up on gas. And not everybody's bought their Tesla quite yet, or the electric car.
Oh, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, we'll be talking a little bit about Boxable in a second. But what I did want to point out, with that chart is that the market index is slipping into the red zone.
I know. Supply
is still somewhat strained. If you go out there and you're looking at houses, and I'm still actively showing houses, you see a bunch of crap listings, stuff that nobody wants to do repairs on, because I think in one part, they're still kind of in that older mindset of like, hey, I can still sell my house for pretty expensive and not have to do repairs. But I don't think people have the ability to make those payments or do those repairs.
Well, that makes me think, so that 155, where are they coming from? So in Arizona, what we think is crap or scraps, they think is gold. So
potentially.
we have to change our perspective.
Well, again, people buy houses based on, I would say a good portion, majority, maybe more than 51% of people buy houses based on their price point, what they can afford.
Right.
Because it's sometimes it's that choice between should I rent or should I buy? And if I can buy cheaper than I can rent, I'll go choose that option. And hopefully that person has the resources to make that purchase, down payment, closing costs, all that stuff. But if it comes to a choice of like, I can rent for $2,000 or buy for $1,800, well, you know which way they're going to go. It just comes down to simple numbers. Well, we hope.
I mean, we don't know though, because what if you're renting for $2,000, buy for $1,800, but they're in a circumstance where they may not. Where are they weighing that at?
Well, each circumstance is a little bit different. And we're not financial advisors, so don't listen to us completely.
No, but that's what we're talking about. So we're rolling into the deep. So what's happening right now is...
It's a gut check.
Hugely, based upon education, intuition, and paying attention to what is truly happening.
Well, what's driving me crazy right now? Everybody's saying it's a good time to buy. And people in my industry more than anything else. And that drives me nuts because that's a generalized statement, to a blanket statement to everybody.
Yeah, no.
And it doesn't apply to everybody. Nope. If you're holding cash and you got money to burn, if you're if you have, I have a person that has 600.
Wait, hold on.
I have a person that has about 600,000 in cash. Can pretty much just go wherever she wants and purchase whatever she wants. And so what she's taking her time. But give it a little bit more time. Those people that need loans, they're having a difficult time in this situation. But if you have cash, it is a great time because you can negotiate whatever you want. I had a situation where we offered $100,000 under list. And did they take it? No, but they hadn't been on market long enough to really experience that pain. And so we said, let's just take a back step. And I swear 3 days later, the agent's calling me back. Are you going to resubmit an offer? And the thing that caught my attention is that agent's calling me back because they're in a situation where they need to sell that. And so we're getting to that point where, again, cash is always king, but it's a gut check into a person's personal situation. We've had tremendous gains in our housing market as far as like the net proceeds and what we can make from these. We're not at that point anymore. So you kind of have to have the discussion within yourself, like, hey, I'm not going to make $200,000. I may only make $100,000 off this house, and be okay with that before it really kind of bottoms out. I don't know where the bottom's at.
Well, none of us do. We have to be forward thinking. We cannot predict the trajectory of our future.
Correct.
However, we can have the ability to make an educated decision, speak with the proper people I'm not going to do it. I'm not
proper
going to do it.
preparation. If you watch this, it's the 5 Ps.
Yeah.
Go watch
But
the
forward
last
thinking
video.
is going to be a huge advocate for you.
Yeah.
And having people who are forward thinking. So involving a financial advisor, involving a real estate agent, involving actually maybe even your freaking therapist. I don't know. But
we all need a couple.
Everyone does. But really thinking what are your ultimate goals are. And so I think the 155 people that are moving to Arizona, not to answer the question because I do not have the answer, but my prediction is they're moving on the outskirts where the homes are a lot less, and they're coming from states where they don't know any better, whether it's people coming from the military or a job transfer, and they're getting transferred out here, and they're like, oh, Apache Junction's only a 45-minute drive, but they're buying an inexpensive house. They're uneducated. And that's okay.
Well, and that's where like sometimes renting does help a little bit. You become familiar. Again, it's just a weird market to really judge. Where a mass people, because I think people at the end of the day want to know what the answer is, where the direction is. When do I buy again? When I don't foresee anything in the short term really where if you're not okay with a 7% rate today, you're not going to be okay with like 8 to almost 9% in just 2 months.
And it's okay to not be okay.
But you have to see your situation.
But you have to analyze your situation. So
absolutely.
Let's revert back to
the charts. No?
Yeah, the charts. So really being analytical on your view.
So supply is still strange. So if you're looking out there, you'll see some of the houses that are just not the best. I think we're getting through kind of the muck of just people not wanting to do repairs, unable to do repairs because they financially can't handle it. I will say that if you're working with an agent, maybe talk to them about having those repairs done through close of escrow. Maybe not having the seller pay for those repairs, but have them pay for them afterward. You could do that.
Major repairs.
Yeah,
like air conditioning
or any repairs. I mean, just period, any repairs. You can put along with closing costs too. Okay. That's another thing. Okay. So supply is definitely strained, and it is coming up to a more balanced market. Supply. I'll show you another chart in a second. Demand index is continuing to decrease. Again, red does not mean red demand means that there's not enough demand right now.
But we have a lot of houses on the market, which is intriguing to people.
Yeah. So
we have so many houses that are for sale.
Let me go to our supply index. Our supply index like rose within the last month. This spiking from 3.1 to 3.7. We basically gained a half month supply in a month. And that'll continue to increase based off that 2-year treasury compared to the federal funds rate that we just showed earlier in the show. If you missed that, just hit the rewind button. But you'll see that as interest rates continue to rise, this supply index will continue to rise. And I'm still seeing, I will say, I'm still seeing houses that are selling relatively quickly. One, if they're priced right, and two, if the upgrades and everything is like done to the T. Because what's out there is really not great.
I helped a real estate agent the other day go on the west side, and I walked in this house, and holy shit. I thought I was going to be attacked by like a ghost or like, I don't know.
Was it bad?
It was an ex-meth house.
Oh, really? That was in the disclosure?
Oh, yeah.
Were they trying to sell a cash?
It wasn't in the disclosure. I just happened to know all of it. So I took a bunch of pictures. I was helping in. I edited the photos to like put them up. The house sold right away. And I was mind blown.
Yeah.
Because inside, I was like, the energy in here, like, I was like, but I'm an energy person. It friggin' sold. It sold from a cash buyer that saw the potential in that neighborhood. Well, so I'm wondering if that 155, it doesn't say if they're cash buyers. It doesn't say who they are. Like, who are those people?
Well, and I just had a situation, too, where we the house was comping. This is in Tempe off of Baseline in McClintock, between McClintock and the 101. And so the house was comping at about 425, but it needed a lot of work. It was a rental for a little bit. It needed a lot of work. So we listed it. I initially listed it at 425, looked at the market again, looked at the reports and said, let's list it at 399. And then we ended up with a cash offer at 360. I had them actually competing. So we had about 5 actual cash offers. The lowest one was like 335, and then the highest one was 360. And I informed that agent that the highest one was 360. She came back at 363, 362, something like that. but it's sold for cash. That was the most important part. So the realization is that things aren't going to be as high as you want them to be, but we're able to sell that in just 3 weeks, cash.
So you have to understand, again, educate yourself on what your future looks like.
Well, then think of the area. I mean, Baseline and McClintock.
Yeah.
You got student population, you got all the freeways, your central East Valley. I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer
investment.
Yeah, I mean, no matter where the market goes, it's still going to be stable. And the air conditioner was fairly decent. The roof was fairly new. I mean, there were so many good things about that. They had termites. But.
Well, termites, whatever. Those are easy. It's fine. Drill a couple holes. You have a termite guy come out, patch it up.
Based on your tolerance level. Are you good? Are you good with termites?
Honestly, like. No. I make fun of my husband all the time. He's afraid of spiders. So Halloween is my favorite holiday.
Oh, he's afraid of spiders?
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
he can do cockroaches, any of that. So I have like these little itty bitty spiders that I decorate my house with. And like I have tricked him so many times. I've never seen that. I'm surprised he didn't poop or pee his pants through Halloween because we're very much jokesters in our house. And I'm like pranksters, I guess. So yeah.
I'm not afraid. You know what I hate is the crunch.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
I hate when you go kill a cockroach and like that's like very visceral to me. If it wasn't for that, I'd kill cockroaches all day.
Cockroaches will outlive every freaking human. I corrected myself there. Cockroaches are like the arch nemesis. But I think I've told you guys this. This is a tangent I'm going on. My mother always said...
you got 3 minutes.
I know. So my mother always said back in the day when we were pretty poor, and she's like, I love you more than cockroach races. Cockroach races. Because we were poor. We were really, really fucking poor. And that's a lot of why my grandparents helped raise me. And they used to like race across our floor. This is a huge statement. So our plan was to get little cockroaches tattoos on our foot. Of like cockroaches racing over our foot. So, but cockroaches, I ain't afraid of cockroach, but there are scorpions. Even born and raised in Arizona.
Oh boy. So if you want to get your cockroach tattoo on your foot, contact Ashley Perkins at ashleyperkins.com.
But I do want to wrap up with I know you said I don't have much time, but I know.
I'll finish up these slides real quick. So
yeah, let's do this. So
if you're
education.
If you're selling a house right now, you're looking at about 61 days on market, which is just, you can see it continue to increase. You saw that reflected in the supply index. Our supply is just steadily kind of stabilizing, where our demand is just continuing to pull back. As demand pulls back, our supply will increase, and of course days on market. So if it's priced right, it will sell quickly. If it's not priced right, then it will not sell. And you have to really consider, like, even though the comps, like I said on that previous house that I talked about, even though the comps are coming in at like 425, really consider the market conditions. And I predict between a 20 to 25% pullback in the market. So if the house is comping in at 425, you're most likely going to sell when this whole thing bottoms out at 340. You know, which is not comfortable to hear, because you want to hear like your house is so good, it's so perfect, you're going to make so much money off of it. We're not in that situation.
But don't believe all that, because there are certain situations where you're in certain neighborhoods that people might want what you have that might not comp out appropriately. So go into it, be confident, dig deep, understand, and work with an agent who knows the comps, but do be advantageous. So when that situation happens and they're like, yeah, this is like, you put in, let's say 600, comps are about, I don't know, 680, but they're offering 630. Be open-minded. You have to be, because not everyone loves your green granite countertops that you paid $50,000 for because they're imported from freaking Europe.
I did have one with green countertops, and
what?
I was so worried about literally. And the cabinets were brown, so it looked like a Christmas tree.
Like military Christmas tree. But there are people who love it.
I mean, it kind of worked, but it was
It's
odd.
like the Tesla that drove across down the street from us, and it was this beautiful white pearl Tesla with pink drums and pink all this, and my son Cameron and I are like, but it was customized. Yeah. So quote unquote, it was worth more, but who the hell wants a pearl Tesla with pink everything?
I thought you did, but that's my mistake.
No, that will be another conversation. We didn't even need a Boxables or any of that energy efficient shit.
So what did you want to say about Boxables? So I did put as a post. So
I do want to say
about a
Boxfuls, as I've been watching them, and please visit this website. We can put it in there. They have been so thinking outside of the quote unquote box and digging deeper
Thinking
into
outside
your
the boxable.
options. Thinking outside the Boxfuls, which you can watch that. We have another episode about it. They're building and growing rapidly. So consider that for the people, the 155 people every day that are moving out here buying land. Consider a Boxable.
Well, and there's areas that don't have HOAs
Right.
where if you have a large land lot, you could potentially have these things. I don't know how they, at the end of the day, how they operate necessarily or what,
It's
what
all,
the circumstances.
again, it's all digging deeper and educating yourself. And don't think the traditional way of buying homes is the end all end.
Because we all know Miss Perkins is not traditional whatsoever.
Really?
I don't know. Anything else, Miss Perkins? Well, we wrap up.
No, I think this is awesome. I think we're just gonna roll in deep.
We're gonna keep rolling in deep, but we'll be back here
rolling.
next Monday, Monday Market 15, the 15-minute show that takes only 30 minutes today, 30 minutes and 45 seconds. So join us next week. We'll be talking about more about housing and your situation. So thank you, Miss Perkins.
Thank you.
We will catch you
Roberto.
next week, and you too.
We'll see ya. Bye.